Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to each one of you joining from India, Middle East, and different parts of the world. So guys, welcome you all for the biomedical engineering training course for critical area products. So today we are on a session 9. So far we have covered our 8 sessions which were on the products. We covered the defibrillation, then we we covered the parameters which are in the pressure monitoring system, ECG, SpO2, NIVP, EtCO2, and last session was on the how to maintain the supplies and accessories for the for these products. So today, as we told you last in the last session that we will call the external faculty for this session 9, which is on healthcare IT trends. So today's agenda is we are first, we have called 2 external faculty. So first we will discuss about the decoding and ideal biomedical engineer. So this session will be taken care by the Mr. Subham Thakur. He is group head biomedical engineering and medical equipment planning. So he's a group head for the Fortis healthcare group chain of the hospitals. Then after his session, we will have a question and answers. Then we will have a session by Mr. Jekant Kesan. He is founder of Biomed Healthcare Technologies, Bangalore. So he will talk about healthcare IT trends. So various trends in the healthcare IT. He will show some of his products also. Then we will have a question and answer sessions. Okay. So I'm starting the session. I'm starting the session and giving the handing over to Mr. Shubham Thakur to start this talk. So Shubham, you can share your PPT. You're on mute, Mr. Shubham.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, I'm audible now.
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you. So, but I can't see it because my share my screen option is right now freeze. I can't project my PPT.
Okay.
Do you want us to do that for you?
Please check now.
Okay. Yep, I can. Yeah, just a second. Yeah. So stop sharing. I want to see the PPT. How can I get particular presentation?
So shall we open from our side? We have your PPT in PDF format. So can we open?
Okay, you can do that. Yeah, that can be done.
Hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, it is visible. Yeah. So before we get into a slide mode, the next slide, I just want to give a quick introduction of myself. In fact, first I just want to thank everyone for inviting for the session and all those people who have joined in a session today. Being in industry, hopefully you may be knowing me, and if not, then I'll just give a quick introduction. This is Shubhank, and I I'm currently working with Fortis Healthcare. As the screen says that I head the medical equipment function for the organization. So yes, I head the medical equipment function for the organization. So I've been in industry for now more than a 1.5 decade now. We work with mostly with the corporate healthcare organization, and have also worked in consulting role also in one of my previous roles. So yes, it's a it's a good learning curve until this moment for me, and happy to join a session with you all. We'll try to share a couple of good and bad hits and miss of my career till date, and we'll try to guide you and take your guidance as well during the session when we have a kind of Q&A session, that how we can become a efficient biomedical engineer, how we can create a value for us into this kind of value chain system. So thank you, and let's go to the next slide. Thank you. So see, I have got only 2 slides. There is nothing to present to you all, but basically experience I want to share with you all how we can be better at this thing. So I just try to put up important points which I felt from my experience till date, and going forward how I design or prepare myself for the task in future. So these are the couple of points which I would like to talk about and share my views. So very important, being in the biomedical industry, whether you are just graduating or under graduation or graduating or just graduated and coming into a professional environment, first you should know that what is the value chain you belong, what is the value chain you like, because as we understand, the biomedical engineer can work in the device side, in the healthcare service side. So device sites mean the medical equipment company, where you can work with the companies like Philips, GE, Siemens, all those vendors who manufacture the equipment. You can work with them in multiple segments. You can be a service engineer, you can be sales engineer, you can be application engineer, you can be R&D engineer. So totally depends on the your interest. That's where you can set up your career. Other side of the table is basically the healthcare delivery side, which the industry I belong in, where you can work as a biomedical engineer, but then you have a multiple roles to play. It's just not like you can never be call yourself as just a biomedical engineer. You can reach to a very high podium into this, starting from a normal biomedical engineer, and you can be a very strong decision maker and creating a value for what you belong in, and to the value to what you can serve here. So very important that you should know what your choice is, what makes you to serve, and while serving, what makes you to satisfied and happy at the end of the day. So that's something which you should about it. Very important to decide that where you belong and what you belong is that, first you understand that what is the biomedical engineering it's all about. It's really been a complex. When I was graduating, in fact, I was the first batch of the biomedical engineering when it was launched into my college. So we had a really tough time, and we realized that the complexity. So we really enjoyed that initial part of our learning curve. And when I came into as a professional, I every day for last 15-16 years I've been in industry, I always enjoy the challenges which biomedical engineering, being working as a biomedical engineer, which throws you, what is being taught to you in the books and the as a graduation, it's just a very baseline for you to take forward for your career, as well as in a professional environment. Every day, every single day, you have to keep on upgrading. It's like literally like a 365 days. You're upgrading a software, or you're building up the applications and a software application for your softwares and the hardware to ensure that you survive and you keep on serving. So that's very important for you, for everyone. A very important aspects of the biomedical engineering is the when I say that serving, when you serve someone, you should always know what is the expectation. And being a biomedical engineer, and you are supporting the clinical team, the doctors, the technicians, the nursing teams, the clinical outcome is the most important. And in fact, you do any task, it's just not about your being a biomedical. Any task you do, personal or professionally, what is the outcome, you should know about it. And biomedical engineering is so much driven by the task and their outcomes. So you should place yourself to the people you're serving, to the people you're working along with them, and you should understand that what is the expectation from them from you. And that's where your quality of service and your quality of professionalism will drive. So that's very, very important for you. To decide that, where are you going, from here on, while deciding that, how you are serving, to whom you are serving. uh, you know you should when you're working in a healthcare side or a device side, you should always prioritize yourself very, very diligently. Like, for example, if you are a biomedical engineer in hospital side, so you should know that, who are your low hanging fruits. For example, it could be critical areas, it could be your OT areas, it could be your imaging departments, it could be your radiation therapy departments. And these on all those departments, who are very, very important, both for the clinical functionality of the organization as well as the business needs of the organization. Because if you are able to bridge and create a marriage between the two, you are doing the excellent work for the organization you belong in. Similarly, this is applicable for the people who are working on the device side, whether you are a sales engineer or service engineer, where you are in the sales side or the service side. But if you are able to map the expectation and the requirement at the customer side, and at the for your organization, customer side means if you're a sales and service guy, you're able to provide them the technology and the equipment what you have committed to them. And for the organization where you belongs in, if you have committed some business number, and you're able to fulfill those things, then so that means you're able to bridge the two different environment into a one ecosystem, and you're able to perform. And so this thing, having said that, it's not that. So when I say you have to do this and that, it doesn't happen. So there is no written fundamental basic there. You have to keep on working all along with this one. And to get best out of it, that how you take it out of it, is that how you bound yourself with the customer, with the people you're serving. As I said that, whether it's a clinician, the nursing team, the biomedical the technical team, or if or also when you're working in hospital, it's very, very important that to get best of your this thing, that how strong relationship you hold with your vendor. So it all ends up to the the strong interpersonal bonding relationship you need to do. So this is the work in progress. Always you keep on creating the environment for you where you can get best out of the people on whom you are dependent. So the another aspects of strong biomedical engineering personnel is that how critical you can think about it. What is the depth, how depth, how much in the depth you can go while taking any decision, or while advising in some decision. For example, in my current capacity, I'm handling about 30 hospitals in India. We have different hospital and different geography. All these hospitals have different business models. All these hospitals have different clinical needs, for which they serve in. They have different capacities. The local expectations are different. So I just cannot keep on thinking, and I cannot, being an individual like me, I just cannot keep on thinking and deciding on the basis of one or two straightforward principle. I have to be so flexible, and have to keep on getting into the the expectation of those individuals who are expecting me to solve their problem. So I have to be, so in that sense I say that you have to be always find yourself that you need to be in their shoes. You have to always find yourself in under their chair. What is the responsibility and the risk they carry while performing their task, and the business requirements. as I said that learning is always a work in progress, and this also applies to a biomedical engineer, because biomedical engineering discipline is such a dynamic. Today we might have interacted with some technology vendor, R&D team, and maybe after 2-3 months you have another new technology, maybe from that same manufacturer, maybe from their competitor, because they are all innovating, they keep on researching this thing. So as an individual biomedical, it is so important that you keep on upgrading yourself, you keep on reading about the latest technology. There are many forums you can utilize to upgrade yourself. For example, you can participate in a lot of, nowadays with the COVID, a lot of online conferences are happening, but so you can join in there, you can go to those workshops, CMEs happens, and you can take a subscription of a lot of online journals are there. For example, the Mini for the imaging, for ECRI, for Mad Gadget. These are the really good this thing. You can take the subscription of a lot of publications. For example, the medical buyer, which is very commonly known in India market. So you should have a habit of spending each day half an hour to 45 minutes, which I really take time in my even in my professional career till date, that I take out time every day, half an hour, 45 minutes, to just read about those technologies. And with nowadays everything is available on internet. It's not that this thing, but you just have that attitude and the appetite to always grab the new things around you. As I finish this slide, the another thing very important that you should know about your goals in your career. You should know that where are you going, and what do you want to reach. And this is again always a work in progress. When being a biomedical engineer, as I was there, I never knew that I want to reach to the ladder which I am here. In fact, here still being in the industry, probably midway of my professional career, I still can't say that what exactly my right goal is. So this is always a goal and a work in progress. But you can always have your short-term and the long-term goal. When I was the early part of my career, I always knew that I do not belong to the service side. I also do not belong to the vendor side where I can go and do a sales thing. So probably I'm just sharing with my experience at this moment what I see from my this thing, that I can become someone who can do a strategic thinking, strategic planning, who can sit down and do a problem solving thing, rather than go out in the market and doing some sales tasks. So probably this is the individual I am as a biomedical engineer. Very importantly, and most importantly, the last one, whatever you are, if you value yourself, others will value. Whether you are a strategic thinker, whether you are a service engineer, whether you're a sales engineer, or application, if you value what you are, everyone will follow you. Can we go to the next slide, please? Next slide. Yeah, thank you. Here in this slide, I want to talk a little bit about when I talk about the critical thinking, what are different tasks we biomedical engineer we do. It very important task when you are a biomedical engineer, and these to us a certain when you move from your initial part of your career to the mid-level career, you always being a very strong decision maker for the technology adoption. This is the very important task, whether you are working in hospital or whether you are working in vendor side. But this slide is more towards the working at the hospital side, where there is a role comes technology adoption, where it is it is a function of a purchasing, what you have to purchase, why you have to purchase, when you have to purchase, how you have to purchase. These are the decision making where biomedical engineers play a very strong role. This because this is so, because that's where the money role comes in. And whenever any function and any professional capacity of working, whenever there is a function of money, any individual can become a very critical. And that's why I want to talk about a little bit on the purchase part of the equipment and then selection of the medical equipment. So very important to start with, first you should know that why you want to purchase, any technology or the equipment. So you, so very important that this is probably a collaboration of two different thinking heads. There is a business head, then there is a clinical head, and the management is part of the. So here there is a management which is part of the business decision making, and there is a clinician who are who require equipment technology because clinically it is required. In both of them, they cannot talk to each other because there is a differences in their thought process and the decision making, and that's why the strong decision or the important or the decisions cannot be make happen when there is someone to bridge it. That's where the biomedical engineer comes in. Biomedical engineer, because he knows about the technology, because he knows about the business value for money which is there on table, he can bridge the in a collaboration between the management as well as the clinical side. He can speak and discuss with the clinician that what exactly they want, uh, why they want, and then he can go back to the management for getting their this thing, the approvals or decision making on the business side, that there's a certain requirement. For example, you require MRI. I can talk about the MRI. So radiology says that I require a 1.5 Tesla MRI, but sorry, the 3 Tesla MRI, and the management said that why not 1.5 Tesla. So this is where biomedical engineer can play a role, where he knows that what is the capability of 1.5 Tesla versus 3 Tesla machine. What is the clinical value, the additional thing what a 3 Tesla machine can do, why it is a high, so-called high-end machine comparing it to 1.5 Tesla machine. So we can talk about this technology piece, but the point here is that how a biomedical engineer can collaborate and help the important decision making of why you need a certain technology, and that's when the budgeting is being done. So every organization, in fact, this is the financial year ending in India, so every organization is also right now in the state of planning their budget. So that's where the biomedical engineer play a very important role. As I said, I partially covered the little bit of the the what is the expectation, and that's when the expectation of the end user, which is your clinical team, the nursing technician, the doctors. That's where the biomedical also engineer plays a very, very important role to understand that what is their expectation. When you know about the broad-based expectation, probably that's when your decision making or the planning of the equipment is derived. And that's when the very, very important role is the decision making of the technical specifications and the configurations of the equipment. And when if it is a large operation, they float an official document, something called a RFQ, which is a request for quotation. So these are the two documents which carries your overall decision making or the planning, why and what you want to purchase. At this moment, you're not going to define that what is your vendor's choice or the manufacturer's choice. It is all about the technology choice. You will be putting up into this document, and on the basis of this, you will be sharing those documents or releasing those documents officially in the market to get the information. And once you get these documentation from different manufacturers, you will compare the products, equipments on the basis of the technology. You will do a rating, will do a end user recommendation on the basis of this one, and the overall decision making is being done. There is another very, very important role which comes in as a when you are doing the very high investment, when you are setting up the complete, let's say radiology department or a radiation therapy department or any high value equipment which could be which is potentially a revenue generating equipment. So you need to have the business case justification, understanding that why you need certain equipment and what is the investment which is going in. So there are different parameter which goes in. For example, the return of investment, what are the different financing rates you're going to acquire the technology, how you going to get funding. Nowadays, with many large manufacturers like PwC, Siemens, wherein I would say Electa, and they all have a little bit of funding capability. So they have their own funding arms. They have so they have fund agencies who are able to support these vendors to their customer through them to support the funding. So you can always liaise with them, and their rate of funding would be pretty much comparable to the government or the NBFC banks which are there in the market. So you can always take the help of them. When you do overall decision making, it's very important for you to understand that what is your cost of ownership. It's just not about what is the cost of the equipment you are purchasing, but what is the total overall cost of ownership for you. That means the initial cost, the point of purchase cost, then the total AMC CMC total during the lifetime of the equipment, and for many equipments, certain equipments, there is a consumable or the consumable cost is also involved. So you should know all those costs, and you should compare all those costs and make a decision making. You should not just think about that a manufacturer is giving me equipment at initial least cost, but his cost of operations, it could be AMC CMC maintenance consumable, may if it on they're higher, then going into that vendor may not be the right choice for you. So all those things need to be factored as a total cost of ownership, and that document has to be very precise and very clear. As you work along with these vendors, you should always think beyond what they can provide you, which is part of the commercial part piece, but how they can help you to upskill the technology and the benefit they can bring in, like the upskilling of your the clinical staff, the trainings, you can also talk about that how for total lifetime of the equipment, how if at all there is upgradation or the updation of the technology coming up, they can support you all those times. So you should always think beyond the commercial aspects or the technology aspects of the equipment, and always go back and ask the manufacturer that when I purchase the equipment or the technology, what does it comes to me, beyond the technology, and what others cannot give me, and how you can help me to use this technology or utilize this solution or the technology you are providing me. So that's what. These are the very important decision pointers should be thinking about it. And as I said, that you should always be bullish about asking it. You should never, whether it's a manufacturer or doctors, if you something you are not knowing about it, feel free, always open your mouth and always ask anyone. Initially you may feel like, any people may feel like that yeah, you are stupid but sometime, but it all this all brings knowledge to you, and you should be never sorry for the knowledge which comes in whichever way for you. That's all I have to share with you. I'm happy to answer any queries anyone has. The forum is here. Happy to hear everyone and learn from everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shru. Very insightful session, and you have shared your life experience in biomedical engineering, management of procuring of equipments and biomedical equipments. I think it's very important session. It's very important for all the young biomedical engineers. So they must be knowing what are the skills required, what are the responsibilities of biomedical engineering, and will your experience about how to make effective decision making in procuring the biomedical equipment. So we have some questions from the candidates. So I hope you can see some questions on the screen in the chat box. So this question from Jehoish is asking which sector has better career growth, whether working in hospital or in industry.
Okay, so as I said earlier, that it totally depends on the choice of yours. You should, I would say, to start your career, it's always good to work initially in the hospital, because that is the place you get the larger scope of technology, because if you work in a one vendor, you will probably have exposure of the technology which is available with that vendor. In the industry, there is no vendor who can provide the solution or the equipment as a complete ecosystem. But in a hospital, if you work for initial part of your career, it will always give a understanding about what are the different technology, and do you like working along with this technology as a part of serving them inside the healthcare system, or whether you are one who loves to going to the different hospital and serving different customer side. So depends totally on the choice and the personality you carry yourself. Yeah, and I can see the second question also. In a very corrupt system where the professionalism is compromised, how would a biomedical engineer work effectively, especially where the effort to sustain the equipment is disregarded? And because a system makes profit out of purchase or the procuring newer equipment. Okay, so first we should understand that you are a technology expert, you are not a commercial person. If you are protecting yourself from any commercial interest, you will never land up, or you will never be regarded as a person unprofessional. You will your function is to decide on the technology or the equipment or the technology piece. So it's up to the organizations, and you should always highlight the pros and cons of any respective technology or the decision making what you are kind of showing up, projecting it. And it's up to the organizations, the management should decide over and above. You should never take anything on hard. It is all about brain. Yeah, thank you. That's all. I think there's only two questions I can see on this thing.
So we have one more question from.
Yeah.
What are the skills required for simulation operator, simulation engineer, simulation specialist?
So I hope, Riaz, you are talking about the simulation as a part of R&D. If yes, R&D, then there are probably very good simulation applications are available. The MATLAB is one of the very known application, the software which is used for simulation. And yeah, so you can use all those this thing. And if you are on the design side, if you are designing infrastructure building, or any circuit boards, if you're talking about, then probably in AutoCAD has multiple modules, the BIM, this thing, the Revit, they all have a very good simulation in a software application, this thing. So you can, if you're very serious about that one, and then you can go for a certified course. There are multiple agencies, organization who have that certified course. You can opt those courses and become a certified simulation specialist.
Thank you. One more question from Mr. Vedant. Why healthcare companies do not recruit more biomedical engineers?
So this is changing very fast now. They are in a recruiting a lot of biomedical engineer. In fact, my organization, every hospital, there is no hospital. So in a private healthcare setup, it's pretty much now the standard in a function now. As you start a new hospital, you require a management, you need a nursing team, you need support staff, you need engineering team. So as a biomedical, so this is now changing so fast now, that now you find biomedical engineer in every hospital nowadays. And now government has made it mandatory. You will find a biomedical engineer in every government hospitals. Earlier there used to be no biomedical engineer, or they will have the biomedical engineer on the outsource basis. But government have understood, the system has understood the value what biomedical engineer brings into the overall healthcare functionality. And this will increase. If you ask me, if you're asking me that your function as initial part of your career, yes, it is challenging, because you're not trained. Currently our education system in India, and probably in globally also, as a part of the engineering graduation, or even the masters, you are not connecting to the practical, where you are getting the hands-on training as a part of your the initial the learning curve. You only get the practical aspects when you complete the graduation part. So Yeah, initial part is a little challenging one, but once you clear, like it's for the doctors. Initially, they will have the challenge to, so they find in themselves as an internship, for first 1 to 2 years period, and after that they become a full-time consultant for the hospital, and then they work in the. Similarly, is the function for the or the role for the biomedical later also. One thing you can do initial part of your the later half of your uh, engineering where you are completing the second or third, maybe fourth year, you can opt for a lot of trainings. You can go to the hospital so that you have a little hands-on understanding that how a biomedical engineer is working in a hospital. So this will give you a little sense of the responsibility and little practicality to connect with the technology. So I would strongly suggest after completing second year of your graduation, you should always go out as much as possible for a summer training, vocational training of 1 month, 2 month in the hospital. If possible, you can also opt for a factory trainings, because nowadays with the Make in India strongly being pushed by the government of India. There are a lot of factories put on up by the global giants, for example, the GE, Philips, Siemens. They have very strong Medtronic. We have a dedicated medical device zone now in Hyderabad AMTZ. So this is the excellent opportunity for upcoming biomedical engineers to go and get the hands-on training, understanding about it, and getting the closeness with the technology, so that you can decide that which side of the spectrum you want to move in. As I see the next question, which is there, what are the eligibility criteria for the working in the hospital as a biomedical engineer? So basically, the eligibility criteria for being a biomedical, at least you should be diploma, and or you can also be BTech and masters. So these are the different criteria. But if you talk the minimum, the diploma has to be the minimum criteria for you to be recruited as a biomedical engineer, and depends on the skill set and the years of experience, the different roles that can be given to you. Next question.
So Shubhank, so there are some questions in the question answer section.
Okay.
The question from Ms. Shailaja Parikh. I want to know what actual life cycle of critical care equipments when it will be sent for condemnation.
So usually, officially, life cycle of the equipment is basically defined by the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer. But as for the Indian standards are concerned, we take it 10 years typically life of the equipment. And when you acquire any technology or purchase any equipment today, even though the manufacturer might have stopped the manufacturing or the innovation of particular technology at this moment today, but if you're purchasing, then they are liable to give you a service or the product technology support for next 10 years. And in fact, since we buy this equipment, so this also goes into the financial book of records, fixed asset registers, where FAR we define in. So the depreciation rate for this equipment are always calculated on the 10-year basis in India. However, in certain other countries outside India, some countries also follow the 5 to 7 year different periods. So yeah, so that's the typically it is. There is another question which comes in from Mamta, that BTech is not enough for that. I do not say that BTech is not enough. BTech is enough for you to be a biomedical engineer and being recruited in the hospital or the device side. If you are inclined towards the high-end thing, which means like you are inclined towards the R&D work, innovation, then that's when the masters is required. But beyond the BTech, it is more of a technology understanding you should have. In BTech, you're not going to get the knowledge of all equipment. You will be only achieving the knowledge about the basic and the fundamentals. But after that, what is your knowledge? What is the equipment of your choice? If you are so much technology centric, then you can select whether it's imaging, whether it's a radiation, whether it's a critical care, whether it's a life support equipment, it's a diagnostic equipment, nuclear medicine. You can opt any out of this laboratory diagnostic IVD technologies. You can select any of them or all of them. If you're talking about all of them, then probably you mean to that you like the working in the hospital. And any other question? 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 Any other question?
Uh, there is a question from Saleja. How to define which equipments are currently under budget? Because sometimes technical wise good, but not under budget. I think.
If you can repeat this one
So this
again.
question is, how to define which equipments are correctly under budget? Because sometimes technical wise good or but not under budget. Means I
I
think.
got it. I got it. I got it. So I hope Shalya mean to that if certain equipment are budgeted and in a annual capex, but while the procuring of the equipment you realize that they we have budgeted the wrong amount or the lesser amount for what now they are expecting. So this is the common practice, and this is the common flaw we do it while doing the budgeting. You should not budget the equipment on the basis of just your understanding about the local market rates, not on the basis. You should always go back to the clinician before preparing your budget. You should always go back, discuss with the clinician that what exactly is their technology specification and the configuration. See, specification is a very broad ways of defining the technology, but when you are when we talk about the configuration, that is where the cost of the equipment is exactly calculated. But when you talk about the configuration, it comprises of three components: the software, the hardware, the accessories of the equipment. And the addition plus minus of one factor, one parameter can make the cost of the equipment variation so much. I mean to say that 30 to 40, 50, at times it can go to 50 to 60% cost differentiation. So when you're planning to buy equipment, when you're doing the budgeting, for example, you're buying a let's say 128 slice CD scanner, so you should exactly know what are the different application you want to buy with this machine. Whether you want to do cardiac angiograms in this machine, whether you are looking at adding the dual energy dual source into this machine. What are the different application? For example, the cardiac, as I said, the neuro application, the perfusion study, all those things need to be exactly factored at the designing of your specification configuration. On the basis of this only, you should always budget the equipment. Once you know the configuration specification at the first place, you can always go out in the market and invite a quotation from the vendors, and you will get a sense of what is the budget that's being required, and accordingly you should budget. You should not budget on the basis of guess estimation. You should never estimate on the this thing budget on the basis of the just because the last purchase it is done at certain cost. The cost of technology keeps on changing. It's so dynamic always. So that's how you should be planning. Yeah, next question.
So there's a question from Vedant. How can I apply for internship?
Always reach out to the hospital. Always reach out to the hospital. Connect with the head of the department of that respective hospital. You can connect me also. Wherever I can assist you, whichever geography you belong in, and into the geography wherever I have a requirement, we can definitely help you assist getting the internship and the training in the hospitals.
So next question is from Mamta. I think it's the same question regarding training and internship.
Yeah.
I hope you have answered.
So she is based out in Raipur. So unfortunately, we have recently closed our operations in Raipur hospital. If that hospital was open, I would have asked you to just opt for a training in that hospital. But if you are inclined to come to Delhi NCR or whichever location, Mumbai or Bangalore or Chennai, Chandigarh, whichever, Kolkata, in this location, if you are interested, I can definitely help you out to get the training into these hospitals.
Thank you, Mr. Shubham. Thank you so much for a nice session. I hope everyone has learned so many things from you. But a skills required, skills required from the engineer to the procurement of medical devices. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for taking me.
Yeah, you can wait for the next session if you want. So we are moving to the next session by Mr. Jacob. So before I move, I just want to share one slide with you all. So next session is on healthcare IT trends by Mr. Jekant Kesar. So it's a this one line introduction about him. So the founder. He's having 15 years of experience in the IT, healthcare IT. He's the founder of the Biomed Healthcare Technologies in Bangalore. So next session is we talk about the various new trends in the healthcare IT, and he will show the product also. For his session, I just want to announce what we will do with the next 10th session. So you guys know it's the end of the what this course, or season 1 course. Next session we will have a quiz. So there will be around 50 questions from the product side, and the 50 questions we will ask from the biomedical consideration, which will be on troubleshooting, maintenance of the accessories. Okay, so there will be around 100 questions, and it will be through the Google Forms. So after you complete the quiz, you will get this online certification. And during that session, we will also, take the feedback about all our sessions, and we will take the feedback for the next sessions. Okay, so and then we'll close the session of the season 1. So now I'm handing over to Mr. Jekant. So you can
yeah. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nihon Koden team, for organizing this and giving this opportunity to present. See, I need to share my screen, and looks like I need to log out and then log in back to share my screen. Is that okay?
Wait for a while. Let me give you the presentation slide.
You are now the president.
Yeah, you are the presenter now. You can share.
But still, I'm not able to do that. Just give me a minute, because in my Mac, I had to change certain settings just now. Just give me a minute. I will log back and log back in. Hold on.
Okay.
While Jayakant-san logs back, I think this session would be very key to understand ICU automation, and it would be nice for the biomedical folks to also see what are the future and current trends in the world of ICU automation. We've worked together in some places. Welcome back, Jayakant-san. Over to you. We can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm able to share. Wonderful. Fantastic.
You are audible and your screen is up. Good luck. Let's go.
Yeah. Fantastic. So thank you, Nihon Koden team, for this opportunity, and thank you, everyone. So what I will do is I will go through a presentation which will talk about healthcare IT trends as on today, particularly with focus on critical care. And when I say about critical care, it is not limited just to intensive care units, but also applies to emergency response and also applies to surgical rooms, which is the operation theaters and other things, and how latest information technology and latest technology trends can be leveraged to provide better clinical care delivery, so that hospitals can achieve better clinical outcome and also possibly better economical outcomes. So that's the agenda. So myself, Jayakant, and I'm the founder of Biomed Healthcare Technologies Private Limited. We are a deep tech company in healthcare, and we also provide software solutions for healthcare IT, particularly for deep technology products to integrate medical devices in intensive care units and provide workflow solution. So I will go ahead with this presentation, which will be very brief, but a little bit more crisp, like 10-15 minutes. And then I would also give a demo of the product very briefly, and I can also take up questions. So if you see any intensive care unit or any critical care units, operation theaters or emergency response, all these units are very data intensive. There are multiple medical devices, patient monitors, ventilators, syringe pump, multiple other devices that continuously monitor patient vitals. And these data are used to make clinical decisions, okay, particularly within these multiple critical care settings. However, as of today, or what happens is most of these units in almost all hospitals, not only in India, but also globally, they have not adopted advanced technology for clinical data management. Most of the hospitals may have some IT solutions for multiple other things, but when it comes to clinical data management, particularly for advanced clinical decision making, for getting clinical excellence, they do not have. This is primarily because of unavailability of robust data integration tools, where any software application that needs to fetch the data from these medical devices are very challenging, not only because different devices follow different protocols. There are different manufacturers, and different manufacturers have their own protocols. Though there are some standards, not many people follow those standards. And how you are able to fetch the data and provide a platform where doctors and other care providers can make clinical decision, that is also very, very important. So today, let's jump in and see what we can do about this. So, okay. So the actual problem is, in most of these critical care units, there is an absence of real-time monitoring, and there is also an absence of data-driven clinical intelligence. So this has led to several inefficiencies, particularly all these inefficiencies pile up and then impede the delivery of clinical care. So if you look, what are the inefficiencies? I would say there are top 3 inefficiencies. One is, in almost all these critical care units, what happens is data is maintained on piece of paper. If you are aware with any hospital's ICU working, what happens is all these things are maintained on sheets of paper. There within an ICU, nurses manually copy the data from patient monitors, ventilators, and then they use something called ICU chart. Mostly these are paper, and there are it is very time consuming, it is error prone, and and that automatically leads to the situation where physicians, doctors need to come to the ICU to make any clinical decision, and there is no scope for remote monitoring or any kind of data processing for intelligence. And these things pile up, and then you are not able to give better care delivery or treat the patient better. And if you look from the hospital perspective, hospitals find it very difficult to scale and expand. The number of expert physicians are limited in any country for that matter, not only in India. So hospitals find it difficult, and they need to leverage technology to provide care at scale. So any platform that actually tries to solve this problem need to focus on 3 different areas. One is a full spectrum of data integration is very important to make any sense for clinical analysis or clinical decision making. When I say full spectrum of data integration from assorted medical devices, particularly patient monitors, ventilators, ECMO machines, blood gas machines. So these are some of the important medical devices from which data need to be continuously integrated. So that is a major challenge. And the second thing is to make any clinical decision, data just from medical devices alone is not enough. Any clinician need to have data from laboratory results, radiology, and other sources, hospital information system, and another thing. So any platform that provides data integration should be in a position to have this full spectrum of data integration. So that is number one. Number two, which is of more importance, is how you present the data and what you use the data that you collected for. One is definitely you can provide several clinical decision support using the collected data. You can compute several clinical scores automatically. And then if you look at any hospital, any ICU or an anesthesia charting or a surgical room or an emergency room, there is a workflow. There is a clinical workflow. Right now, this clinical workflow happens through paper forms, manual forms, and other things. So the application should be in a position to provide a workflow platform, and that workflow platform should be data driven and also should be intelligent. And now where entire world is moving towards, though it looks like a cliche when we talk about AI, everybody talks about AI, particularly from a clinical perspective, several things can be done using AI. Simple things like prediction of sepsis. We can predict sepsis 12 to 18 hours before actual onset of sepsis. Not only sepsis, mortality, several clinical decision support tools, including drug-drug interaction. So all these advanced packages could be given. So these are some of the latest healthcare IT trends, particularly relevant to critical care. Okay, so I am talking from the perspective of our solution Biomed to a certain extent. The demo of the product also you will see towards the end of this thing. So a typical deployment architecture would be something like this. You would leverage IoT, basically Internet of Things, Wi-Fi and LAN network to communicate to these medical devices. Since most of you are biomed engineers, you should be aware that almost all medical devices from any standard manufacturers have something called data interface protocol. So patient monitors, either it be Nihon Kohden or Mindray or Philips, they all have these data interface mechanism through which data can be exported to third-party application. So that is very, very important, even in your purchase decision of any medical devices, whether these medical devices have those capabilities. So patient monitors, ventilators, syringe pump, blood gas machines, all these machines have this data export capability where a computer application could communicate to these devices and then fetch the data continuously. So most of the time for the patient monitors, data can be fetched through the LAN port, and for ventilators, syringe pump, either it will have a Wi-Fi or it will have a serial port. So data can be converted from serial to Wi-Fi using IoT devices, and through a central server, the data can be continuously fetched. Once data is fetched, then it much depends upon the application, how to analyze the data, how to present it, how to make sense of the data, and how doctors or any other users can make clinical decisions out of that data from anywhere, anytime, using any device. So what happens is the same setup that you do on a per bed basis can be easily scaled up with the by leveraging LAN network and Wi-Fi technologies and networking multiple hospital units. You can leverage the network and then you can scale it up across multiple hospitals. So hospitals like Fortis or any other corporate hospitals that may have multiple centers can connect multiple units which are at geographically different locations, and the data can be presented anywhere, anytime for clinical decision making, and also the workflow application can be done, and you can come up with several clinical decision tools based on the data that you collect. So most of these applications are like enterprise grade. So one important point is, these applications are also electronic medical record in themselves. I mean, these are not just data collection, but you collect the data, store it in a enterprise grade database. You will have a searching mechanism, querying mechanism, and all those things. So it becomes an electronic medical record in itself. And it can be used not only for intensive care units, but also for all other modules. And once you are able to use it for all other units within the hospital, what happens is all clinical pathway is covered, and all clinical pathways are covered, and you have this data continuum. That means you have the entire history of the patient, right from, let's say, a patient get admitted in an emergency unit or brought in an ambulance, got into an emergency unit, went into a surgical ward or to an ICU, later into a high dependency unit and what. So the complete continuum of data is there. If a continuum of data is there, you can provide continuous clinical care, and you can give better care. So that's the idea. So these are some of the requirements. You need 360-degree full data integration. This is a must. And you need to provide comprehensive data intelligent workflow. Any solution, see, corporate hospitals or any major hospitals, you cannot work with small application. You need to have multiple users to be able to log in, and you should be able to support multiple platforms, iOS, Android app, or any other systems. The application should provide advanced alerts and reports, because alerts and reports are very important, through which doctors will engage with the application and then provide better clinical care. If the patient is critically ill because of certain reasons, the system should be able to alert the corresponding physicians. Security and privacy of the data is also important. You have several regulatory thing on data security and privacy, even globally and also in India. And more importantly, the solution should be easily deployable, and it should be easily scalable. So ICU modules, it should cover all aspects of clinical workflow. See, any application that you talk about, unless it is comprehensive and it makes sure that it solves not just one or two pain points of the doctors or the hospitals, it should be in a position to solve multiple pain points. And that means it should be comprehensive. It should have multiple features, as I discussed before. So now coming back, our application is one such application, Zmed. And these are some of the screenshots that we have. This is an ICU dashboard and the trend data. I will briefly give a demo of our application also. This is the fluid balance chart. And, monitoring the data from anywhere, not just the trend data, but also the waveform of patient monitors, ventilator, anesthesia machines, and all the alerts related to these things. Integration of laboratory data, integration of radiology, and the same method, that technology that we are using to monitor critical care units can be simply extended to have a tele-ICU architecture. Right now, one of the important trends that is happening within India is this tele-ICU or telemedicine and telecritical care, where expert physicians can be located in a central hospital in a tier 1 city or one of the metros. And several ICUs in a hub and spoke model can be networked, and doctors, expert doctors located in a central hospital will be able to not only monitor, but can provide life-saving clinical decisions for the patients. So there is immense cost saving for the patient. They do not need to come to a top hospital, they can be very close to the town or city wherever they are, and they can get the best treatment from a best doctor. So that is there. And from a technology perspective, having these kind of solutions, having real-time data seen across or sent across a different network, all these things are readily possible because of latest advances in web applications, advances in server technologies, databases, and these IoT and Wi-Fi technologies that we adopt would help in delivery of better healthcare through this tele-architecture. And I personally believe, or it is a known fact, that right now in India, these kind of things are promoted, and there is not only clinical opportunity, but a lot of major corporate hospitals are also getting into this, where their doctors could treat patients in multiple different cities or towns surrounding that particular hospital, and those patients need not come into the main hospital. So that's an advanced trend that is happening. And when I say about ICU, I also mentioned the same technology that was used for a critical care or an ICU perspective can also be used for surgery rooms and also for emergency rooms. When you talk about surgery, the requirement, though the medical devices are relatively the same, what you will have in a surgery room, you will have an anesthesia machine, and then you will have patient monitors. So from a device data integration perspective, it is relatively the same. You may have some point of care devices to measure certain blood values, but the workflow is completely different. Workflow is completely different in an ICU, and the workflow is completely different in a surgical room. So the requirements for handling the surgical procedure is a little bit different. There are advanced features like voice-enabled support, continuous capturing of data, auto-generated reports and alerts. So so many things can be done which are very productive and useful from a clinical perspective. And some of the latest trend that is happening in healthcare IT, or one of the major thing apart from tele-ICU or the telemedicine part, is how artificial intelligence can be used for better clinical care delivery, particularly in a critical care setting. See, a lot of people talk about artificial intelligence in multiple settings, even within healthcare. But when it comes to critical care, patient is in an ICU. Now, there are multiple things that could happen when a patient is in an ICU. Sepsis is one of the major killers in an ICU environment. So if you can predict, not just detect, but predict whether a patient will go into sepsis based on the vitals data and other laboratory data, if you can predict 12 to 18 hours or at least 6 hours before actual onset, then the doctor will have enough time to clinically manage the patient. And so prediction of sepsis is one another important trend a lot of people talk about using AI. And prediction of mortality. Mortality also means, whether the patient is so critically ill or whether the patient is morbid. So that kind of prediction can be made so that you can automatically prioritize those patients. And from a financial standpoint, length of stay. I mean, how many days this particular patient need to be in an ICU, whether the patient will require readmission, whether the patient is good enough to be discharged. I mean, how will you tell whether the patient is good enough to be discharged based on certain vital parameters? But most of these hospitals, you discharge the patient immediately, they get into some kind of clinical event and they need to be readmitted. And it is not only a high cost for the hospital, but it is also very difficult for the patient, and most of the time it is life-threatening too. So whether to discharge a patient at the correct time is very important, and it is a very important clinical decisions. So artificial intelligence are used to predict and to kind of tell with high degree of accuracy, above 90% or 95% certainty on these multiple factors. So apart from the clinical aspects of AI, we in healthcare, there are several things that are happening in radiology as well, like particularly during COVID times, when you give a chest X-ray or a CT scan, AI modules could tell whether the patient has COVID or not, and up to what level of COVID. And not only just COVID, several pulmonary disorders could be automatically determined using radiology images. So these are the various healthcare trends. So I will take some questions now, and before I go to the demo of the product. So any questions, anyone? So
I think there are no questions on the chat box. You can
yeah.
put the demo. Okay. So you guys, please, if you have any questions, please type it on the chat box or in the question answer section.
Take it all at once,
Yeah.
Okay, we will take everything at once.
Please continue.
Okay, so I will straight away jump into the product presentation. So our product Biomed is one such application that provides whatever we talked about. So as I said, the application can be accessed using any browser, and we also have Android and iOS application. So I'm just logging in right now. I'll be very brief. I will not go into the details of the application, but just give you a feel of what could be done. I'll just give a 5-minute demo of it. So what happens is, once you log in, the application takes you to the default unit. And right now the default unit, this is a demo hospital, and this is the heart and lung units. And in this, there are 12 patients, out of it 6 are occupied. And what you see here is the live data coming from the patient monitors and the ventilator. So I'll just open one of the patient monitor. So I'm just using my computer from remote location. I could see the data, live data, not just the vitals, but also the waveforms, alarms, and other thing. I can also see the ventilator data, ventilator waveforms with pressure volume loop and all other things. And I will be able to see the trend of the vitals up to a minute resolution, what were the different data, and I can kind of zoom in, zoom out. I can choose any specific date, go back in time and see the trend of the vitals there. And the same data can also be seen on a table, downloaded and then analyzed. We could also go back in time and then do a playback of the data. So that is there. And then if you are monitoring multiple patients simultaneously, say for example, as a doctor, I have like 6 patients that I need to continuously follow. The data can be continuously seen, and in the application you will receive alerts if the patient is critically ill or some vitals are off the chart. So that is possible. So this is from a monitoring perspective. Now, as I said, if you can also go into the comprehensive charting part. Charting part covers everything from fluid balance to nurse notes to integration of laboratory result and multiple other things. And you provide multiple modules here. You have the fluid balance. Fluid balance is another important thing where through syringe pump and through infusion pump, important drugs particularly vasopressors, ionotropes are given, and it is very important to monitor the flow rate. So instead of manually entering the flow rate and manually monitoring the volume that is being infused, we can digitally connect to these syringe pump and then automatically get the flow rate and volume. And once you are able to automatically get the flow rate and volume, you have a complete record of the fluid balance or what all fluid that went into the patient and what came out of the patient. Even things like urine output, measuring the urine output, there are Uromon devices from multiple medical device suppliers. Even multiple Indian medical manufacturers have Uromonitors, which can also be used for monitoring the drain of the patient. So application like ours can provide what is the hourly fluid balance of that particular patient, what were the different drugs that were given. So, once you are able to connect to these medical devices, and once you are able to also connect to the laboratory, and then instantaneously get multiple laboratory results, making clinical decisions, alerting the doctors, everything becomes much easier, and doctors can make better clinical decisions. So that's the idea about a software like this. I think I will just stop here. If you have any questions, let me know.
Hi, Jacob. There is a question from Mr. Rajan. How do you ensure you are following all the medical device regulations? Sir, into IT.
No.
So I'm not able to see the questions. How will I see the question? Participants.
He has now forwarded to host only.
Okay. So how do I follow the regulations? If I understand the question correctly,
This question is for Deepa, for Mr. Shubham. I think he has left.
This looks like a question for Shumankar. Any other questions, guys? Please start scribbling.
So there is a question from Mr. Fawazeh.
Okay.
We can connect different modalities with different company to GMAT application.
With yes. So so different. So we are completely device agnostic. Oh, there are multiple questions. So I will try to answer. So different when it comes to our application, we are completely manufacturer agnostic, and we standardize the data from different manufacturers. So different manufacturers follow different protocol. So we develop software programs that is called as device driver interfaces that would connect to these medical devices and fetch the data.
So there are more couple of questions from
Yeah, I will go through each of the application, each of the questions. Rishi Manoj is asking, how is the data security ensured? See, there are multiple regulations called. There is so much noise here, but how data security is maintained. See, the data, first of all, lot of hospitals, almost all hospitals are very focused on data security, particularly patient data in terms of privacy and other things. So what I have personally seen is almost all these hospitals don't want to store their data on any other third-party vendors' computer or third-party vendors' cloud computers. They want the data to be within their hospital network. So when it comes to ZMed application, we store the data within the hospital premises. And apart from that, there is a standard called HIPAA. HIPAA is a US regulation, and the fundamental of that particular regulation is you don't show patient healthcare data to anyone else other than who needs to know. So who needs to know? Any care provider needs to know. So our application has these kind of role-based access, so that only the doctors that take care of certain patients will have access to those data. So we will lock the privileges, and data is also very secure, where we encrypt the data and store it in the database. And when it is transported across internet or within the local hospital intranet, data is encrypted using the best encryption standard, and we use those things. So that way data is not only secure, it even the privacy of the patient is maintained. Hope I could answer that. In the application, if we download, which format it will be? So if you want to download vital trend data, we have Excel export. And if you want to download an image or other thing, it could be in a JPEG or other things. So we do the best so that any data that can be downloaded, are used in a much more larger format. So we follow all those standard things. And it depends upon what kind of data you're downloading. For how many days we can record? So Lijna Chako, so that's a very important question. And see, we had made sure that the waveforms, the vitals, all these things are not only encrypted, but are also compressed. So for 365 days, 24/7, if you are recording a patient data for 1 full year, the whole data would be less than 4 gigabytes, because we are able to compress it. These are not video files. These are numeric data that are compressed in such a manner. So data size is not a problem. And from an application perspective, nothing is deleted. All the data from the medical device, all your vitals data, nurse notes, physician notes, drug given, everything is stored completely. So for a hospital that has like 200 beds, critical care beds, they are good with 2 terabyte of hard disk for 2 to 3 years. Not a problem at all. So 2 terabyte hard disk is next to nothing for a hospital. It's like, it's not a big criteria. So the point is, the data is stored indefinitely, and the size taken for storage is also very less. Fazil is asking a question, so we can connect different modalities with different company with our ZMed application. Yes, so we support multiple device manufacturers across different products, from blood gas machines to syringe pump, ventilator, anesthesia machine, point of care devices, different patient monitors, all standard global manufacturers we are able to support. How many devices can be controlled by this application? How the software will interface with other devices such as syringe pump. See, one thing that, two things we need to be very clear. We will not control the application. Say, for example, if there is a ventilator, through remotely, those certain ventilators will allow to change the ventilator settings or pressure volume settings. It is legally not correct to do those things remotely. Doctors can see it remotely, and they have to call the duty doctor or the duty nurse there to change it, because we don't allow anybody to change the data that to the settings of either the syringe pump flow rate or other thing. These are mostly monitoring mechanisms. That is what we do, because legally it is not allowed to change the device settings remotely. So you need to be within the critical care unit. So that is one thing. And how the software will interface with other devices. Example, syringe pump. As I explained in my presentation, syringe pump can come in two different ways. One, certain syringe pump may have a built-in Wi-Fi module. So if they have Wi-Fi module, we can directly communicate to that Wi-Fi module and fetch the flow rate, infused volume. If drug name and other details are entered onto the syringe pump, we can get it. And if they do not have Wi-Fi module, most of the syringe pump will have what we call as a serial port. A serial port is a 9-pin data port. And as I showed in my presentation, we provide a small USB size dongle, which is an IoT device, which would convert the serial data to Wi-Fi. So basically our IoT device would Wi-Fi enable or network enable any device, not just syringe pump, but also certain patient monitors, ventilators, blood gas machines. So we can continuously fetch the data. And if you're using a syringe pump rack, there are 5 or 7 syringe pumps can be connected to a single rack. So that also can be interfaced.
Thank you. There are some questions in chat box. Just one or two. So
I want to know what is the actual life. So how to define which equipments are okay? That's a previous question. Shailaja Parekh was asking how many devices can be controlled by this application. So yeah, there is no limit on how many devices. A standard, we can very easily control more than 500 patient monitors, 200 ventilators, 300 syringe pump using a single server with i5 processor and 16 GB RAM.
okay. So there are some questions from in chat box.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat box.
This one or two questions.
So, okay, I'm not able. Okay. Is the software available for all users? The software is an enterprise software. So basically, we sell it to hospitals. It is not for individual use, as you could very well understand. It doesn't work offline because the device needs to be online. Yes, we can set up AI at any site. Mr. Manu Mohan is asking, can we set up our AI module at any site? Yes, AI module can be set up at any site. There are no additional requirements. Can I have Jaykant details? I'm sure my details are available. The lot concentrating huge amount of data. Cloud is definitely not needed. Mr. Rajan Batra is asking whether cloud is required. Cloud is definitely not required. Yes. So when this application relies on local intranet, and also definitely, if electricity is down, none of the devices will work. I mean, probably most of the devices will have 2 or 3 hours of battery backup, but after that, definitely you need electricity. But almost all hospitals have enough backup, not only of for electricity, but also for network. So that's not a problem. We had made sure that in multiple cases, the data fetching program will continuously run. There are inbuilt redundancies in that. So data can be retrieved at any point in time also. So Krishna, how many? The Biomed software seems highly beneficial for clinicians in the hospital. My question is, can this software help in any kind of asset management? Yeah, that is a wonderful question from Mr. Krishna Mohan. I'm hearing a lot of noise. Can someone mute it? Okay. So whether can it be used for asset management? We also have asset management module where you can not only track where your patient monitors, ventilators are, you can also figure out for how many hours patient monitor or ventilators are used for certain patient, or how the asset utilization happened within the critical care units, different kind of units. And we can also send information of utilization to the billing system, so that accurate billing on the number of hours of ventilator usage can be used. So we have a very detailed asset management module as well as part of this application, including equipment identification and other things, tracking and other stuff.
So thank you, Jaykant. Thank you for such a wonderful session on healthcare IT trends. I hope we have covered a lot of, there are many pain points of the hospital regarding IT, medical records, ICU automation, keeping the record of the patient. So I think your application is very robust, and it resolves most of the IT-related pain points of the hospital. Right. So I think we have let's
I'll be I mean, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is jy@zmed.tech.
Yeah, it would be better if you can write on the chat box for everyone your
yeah, let me send that my detail to everyone. Yeah, you can reach out to me. I will be more than glad to answer any question, and I can also share the PowerPoint PDF presentation that I did here.
Okay. So thank you, Jaykant, and with this, let's conclude this session. Thank you very much, and thank you all attendees for attending this session. Next session is on next Friday. It's on 19th of February. So in that session, we will take care. We'll take questions from product point of view and the biomedical consideration point of view. We will ask some questions, and after that, we will have a certification. Okay. So thank you very much. So you will get the certification automatically by after completing your quiz, after completing answering all the questions, you will get the certification online automatically. Okay. So thank you everyone. I'm ending this session.
You can include some certificate.